Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 8 of the build guide too. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Thanks so much for all support on these videos. You guys are just absolutely loving the series. And yes, we do have some naming to do right before we start today's episode. So, the forestry has been named to Tree with Leaves, #1 forestry, which is an absolutely great shout from OBVIP, so thank you for that suggestion, mate. Just so City Skylines, right? Tree with Leaves #1 is definitely the original Latin name for that specific genus of tree. So thank you for this, for the idea. And then, of course, finally, because we haven't really named anything in my cities after the old famous joke, King of Mashed Potatoes came in with Prepare to Farm University. Yeah, we haven't really had anything. Of course, Palavins is actually named the Institute of Technology for Palavin. Wasn't actually taken after. The hilarious typo, of course, that's tethered to the study hall. So thank you so much for all of that. And a big shout out as well to the community, because you guys have been sending me screenshots of what you've been building. And it's absolutely crazy. It's so nice to see people building along with the build guide and taking it in their own direction. And I'm even looking at some of these screenshots and thinking, like, what the hell? Like, this is really nice. That's better than what I've done. Like, you guys should be the YouTubers. Really crazy. It's so nice to see people taking ideas and inspiration like that in the series. So thank you so much for it. Please do keep it coming and join our Discord if you're not already in there. But otherwise, today we are going to open this brand new tile here, okay? So this one is going to pop for a fresh $9,000. And then we're just going to have a little look at what's going to happen. So we've got some networks to extend here, some new public transport to factor in, and a new transport hub as well. So we should be looking at some pretty wonderful walkability and layering today. So let's take a look at how we can grow in an aesthetically pleasing manner, shall we? So let's first of all start the episode just by basically ripping everything out, alright? We don't really want any of this here anymore, at least not for the time being. It's going to impact us. I'm going to leave the train line in for a little bit, apart from where I know I'm going to need the room to come through. So probably about there I should do it. So there's a big opportunity here for some layers to develop. So I'm going to come into my terrain tool. We haven't really talked about layering in the build guide yet, I don't think, have we? Not properly. Maybe a little bit over here from last episode, but what I do want to happen is to just find maybe maybe 2 or 3 contour lines above the water line there. And then I want to start layering this whole waterfront here to this same height. Okay, so that's pretty much what I'm after. So we just see now, right, we're starting to dig out a tier within the city itself, and it might not look much right now, but trust me, once this is in and it's kind of established, it's going to look really cool, alright? So there's a couple of different things we can do here with these road networks. We've got the opportunity to use keys if we wanted to force in some water using a fresh water outlet, we could do that as well. Or we could do some sort of like rock walls, like a retaining wall made out of rocks. There's a couple of different sort of variations and ideas you could take this in. So please, again, let me know how you end up doing this. But for right now, this tram pedestrian road is going to be deleted. And then we want to just adjust that terraforming now, so it's right up against the current existing framework. And then we'll slope it out and do exactly what we need to do with it once we come to this particular area. Possibly delete it from here as well, I think. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Okay. So I could get a key along here if I want, and that's what I'm going to try to do today. So let's give that out. And then I want to grab this height here that the train line is sat on. And then let's just sort of roughly push this out here, okay? See if we can also just draw this out so we can use this road marking here. Let's actually check the distance there. So we're 200. So we'd be down here, wouldn't we? Then that'll give us 200 there, 200 there. So then I know I can use this one here as sort of a marker as to where I want my eventual key wall or sort of layer to sit in, if you like, okay? And this is also going to be used to hold our water initially too, because it is going to sort of flow everywhere, right? So let's go for that one there. So you can use the fresh water outlet for this. You can also use the water drain pipe as well. What we're really looking for is just that flood of sort of initial water to help set up the key walls here. So we're going to place that down. Let's go ahead and hook it into our pipe system. And then as we allow the game to play, don't worry, the tram line will temporarily break, but it's okay. Don't worry too much about that. And then as it does, we will now be able to just start piecing together our key wall, because it's now going to read this as a temporary short line, okay? So we can do, by the way, if you are on PC, please, for the love of God, go and download Network Anarchy to do this. Don't do this in vanilla if you're on PC. You're making your life significantly more difficult. Right? Please just go play with Network Anarchy. So I want to play with these roads here. Okay, let's see exactly how close we want to get to the road. So we could do it like that, okay, and that's going to get us pretty close, I think. I think I'm happy with that for the most part. It would be cool if we could make the key walkable, which we'll need to use a little bit of pathway, but we'll sort of cross that bridge when we come to it, okay? Cool, so let this spill out. See there where it's starting to dip down a little bit? We definitely want to avoid that where we can. So let's go from this guideline instead, and we can just see where the terrain heights are starting to differ a little bit. So we just want to do a little bit of level terrain around where we're trying to place it, and that will fix that height issue. Come in, there we go, see how it's nice and level now? We can also just snap to an angle as well if we want to get a little bit closer, or as close as we can within the vanilla limitations, which is going to be about there, isn't it? Yes, I'm pretty happy with that. Wonderful. Let's come on to this one now. It looks like, yeah, we can just see now where we might want to extend a little bit further down. Let's do that terraforming trick again. Just so we're pushing it out and maintaining that same height. If you have move it, you can just correct it with move it come the end. So I'm going to have it to about there. And then I'd like to come back in to about here, I think. I think I'm going to be happy with that retaining wall shape. One thing I do want to check before we tidy things up is to make sure that our tram pedestrian road can still come through here, because of course it will collide with that key there. Provide clearance with an elevation, which it looks like it will, so I can live with that, okay? Cool. In fact, if anything, I might just want to bring it back a touch more, just so I'm not so tight. There we go, let's go for that instead. Right, but there you go. That is how you can get a key into the vanilla game. But again, if you're on PC, that's really just for the console people. Just download Key Anarchy, or Network Anarchy, as it's known now, okay? Just so much better. So much easier. Right, and then delete your water pipe, of course, and its associated feeder pipe, and then allow the game to play, and this will now clear out and flow back off into the river. We can then do a little bit more terraforming around the base of the key if we wanted to, which will just reveal a little bit more of it. Okay, but it's going to function as a fun little retaining wall for us. It's a very minute little detail, but in the end, I hope you all agree. I'll be keen to hear your opinions in the comments. Does it pay off? Was it worth doing? I think it's going to be a nice little addition into our network designs here, right? Tremendously exciting, everyone. Right, so now let's start focusing on the possible amount of walking point that's possible here. So let's return to our networks. We're going to want to do a little bit of slope terrain here because we need to slope back up so it's not like an immediate sharp edge. Something like that should do me. And then we'll go ahead and grab those networks. So we could also actually extend the cycle highway back down these roads again now if we wanted to, because we're actually converging with the city-wide cycleway. So there's pretty much not a reason, or there's not really a reason to not do it. So we might as well do it. Let's bring this down to about there. That's going to be wonderful. And then we want to do the same thing over this side again as well. Cool. So we've now got our roads coming down, and as this continues to grow out, it will go over this direction, etc. Let's make sure that water actually flows away. Now with the tram pedestrian road, I'd like to come back in and grab this one. Now which one are we using? This is the cobblestone, is it? I think it is. I am correct. Make sure it is the right one first. No, it's not. It's the other one, isn't it? It's bluestone. No, it's not. It is cobblestone. Am I alright? Am I going senile? There we go. That's what I want. I must click the wrong one. Okay, so let's come up now and start elevating away by at least 3 steps. Again, we want to do this at its maximum length, which is going to be 12 units there, isn't it? And this is going to give us a very cool layer indeed, isn't it? So let's now see what happens if we bring you out from this way. We really just want to snap to that angle. Okay, and then let's see where we can go here. Yeah, so we're also getting the weird snapping that can happen when you're near a key. So I just want to make sure I'm snapping to an angle here. That's going to be near perfect for me, I think. Alright, and then if we can bring this round on a road guideline now, it might just be a case of happy days. No, it's not. We need to be a little bit more careful. Let's bring everyone across so we're sort of ready to meet on a nice little happy curve tour with a road guideline snap, and that should do us. We can see there how we're coming maybe down a little bit too much. Do I mind that slight sort of descent in the tram line? I don't think I do. I think I'm happy with it. Alright. Cool, so let's now go ahead and correct that tram line itself. You should now just work happy once you realise your connection is available. And there we go. Let's add that second stop back in there. Yes, I'd like to see if we can move stops. Yes, we can have the elevated stops here. So we can have elevated tram stops on the pedestrian road, which is tremendously exciting. Okay, there we go. Welcome to Cities Skylines 2023, everyone. What a wonderful game this is, right? There we go, right? I'm really keen to see how busy this gets. However, it's not going to get the most amount of busy, I guess, until we add in today's main form of public transport, because today we're going to be playing with trains for the first time. So if you're playing with trains and you have plazas and promenades, you will have the elevated train station and the regular one. However, these are like the worst stations by far and away. Bad Peanuts train station pack is the best way to go here. They're so nice. And again, it's linked down below in Instant Gaming, like super cheap now. So please definitely go pick up this train station content creator pack if you want it. Okay, so let's decide which one we want to use. I think I'm feeling this one, right? And that's going to snap. Is that going to centralize? Let's have a look at the position of some of them. Yeah, so that one's not too bad. That one would nearly sort of centralize, wouldn't it? Then we've got the ground bypass station as well. Really, yeah, I want the 4-platform one, and this one's only 2-platform, isn't it? Okay, yeah, let's go for this one then. So we'll place it in. Look at that. Okay, yes, it is in a service point area, of course, isn't it? So let's go ahead and give this a service point. All right, let me just temporarily stick a service point down here. We'll worry exactly about where it's going to sit in the build in a second, but I really just want to have this functional for right now. Yes, it's fine, don't worry about it. So let's go into our train lines. So I've mentioned several times throughout my series, for those that have watched it, I really don't recommend mixing different types of passenger line, or different types of train line on the same line, rather, I should say. And what I mean by that is don't mix sort of cargo with your internal train lines, and then intercity are also travelling on the same line. There are certain sort of exceptions where you can do it. Maybe if they're just sort of merging onto different lines, that's okay. But definitely it's something you want to try and avoid for the most part. Okay, so let's bring our train line out, and then again, I want this to really sort of hammer home, yet again, more layering with our networks, okay? This is kind of what I was talking about at the start of the episode. We can see where we need to do a little bit more terraforming, so let's just push that out for the one-way network to come through. Okay, you will go this way, and eventually, let's just sort of see where this is going to go. I'm eventually envisioning it's going to come here, and then cross over onto this one of the downtown islands, and eventually flow into that space. So I guess we can just prepare it to do that eventually, right? I wonder if we want to continue chiseling this layer out up until the downtown, actually. We're coming up to another castle here as well, which we'll definitely do something with. Maybe we can do this as like another homage to Noob Yoke's Nurgle's Garden. Maybe this can be Khorne's Realm or Zinch's Throne or something, right? I think it'd be fun to keep the Warhammer references going for those limited few in the community that actually understand them. Alright, cool. So this is all coming together wonderfully. Let's now come up with our elevation. Hopefully we can cross across all these layers here. Yes, we can. And then we can just meet back up with that embanked rail. There is a slight movement there in the straight line, but you can't really tell in the grand scheme of things. Cool. So we've now got this going in. You could even see where it could possibly elevate it a little bit more there. I think I might actually do that. So we've not got that sort of pathetic little dip. That kind of looks a bit weird. Okay, now as we glance over at our layering now, we're starting to see the effects of our work come in, aren't we, right? Much more interesting network work here. Okay, again, if you're with Key Anarchy, feel free to continue your key spaces all along this road. You'd have a wonderful layer if you kept it running. Really nice ideas to be had here. Okay, of course, so I'm going to have this function as an intercity and internal train line station. I'm eventually envisioning that we're going to bring our internal train line down this track before it splits off and then becomes an internal train track. We'll feed it across the river through the industrial area and then over here into our forestry, and then we'll keep the train travel running all the way through this area. It should be quite fun, alright? It should be quite fun. We don't really need to worry about intercity train connections into the downtown either, because the map has 2 of them currently, so we don't need to really worry about factoring that in. The downtown will certainly be served well enough by trains. But either way, I'm tremendously excited to see our first train arrive, and to see where they go. Let's have a look at the tram lines here as well. Can we move those tram stops so they're a little bit more appropriate? Like, can you sit in that node there? Oh, yes you can. Oh, look at that. We've got little stops opposite our train station now. Cool, so I'm going to hang around and wait for a train to turn up, and then we'll see just how many people choose to walk here. Okay everyone, so the first passenger train is about to arrive in New York. Let's see just how many people get off here. And then I'm hoping that they're all going to walk. This is ideally what we want. Pretty much everyone's going to walk. I realise the car parks out the front are a little redundant. Just because we have the pedestrian roads either side. We could amend that actually just by... Yeah, I think we will do that. It looks a little bit stupid otherwise, doesn't it? Let's see if we can do the ones with medians here. Okay, this way this space becomes drivable, but the pedestrianisation still continues on down the tram line, okay? That makes the car parks at least functional. Right, but oh, there we go, there's another one as well. Oh, with a lot more people too. Splendid and tremendous, everyone. Let's see where they're going. So a few of them choosing to wait for the tram there, which is fine, I don't mind that. Oh, but yes, look at that. That's going to be so cool. So cool when all this just gets detailed and there's cars on the road as well and trains over that layer, trams and so much walking on this layer. Tremendously exciting, isn't it, everyone? Cool, so at least we know now that Sims are walking over here and this station will continue to be extremely busy by the looks of it. But otherwise, I just want to turn my attention over to this space here. So we did place a graveyard and a high school in here last episode, but it was very much just placed in the moment because we needed it to be. So let's come in now and have a little chat about what's going to happen with this space. I do want some zonings in here, but we also need to do a little bit of network work as well, just to accommodate our new school. So let's bring some roads here. Can we just get 2 zonings there? I don't think I mind that. We can work with 2 deep zonings. And then I'd like this to come down on a 90-degree angle. That's going to be great. Let's go ahead now and place in our high school again that we lost. So it was this one, wasn't it? Do I want this on the main road, actually? It's kind of like a main road asset, basically. No, I think we'll have it set back a little bit. Let's have our school in this spot here. I want to make sure that the orientation here against the main road is still appropriate. I really like that, okay? I think that's really cool. Fantastic. Let's go ahead, throw in some sports courts with it as well. A bit of classic basketball, always appreciated, right? We'll have one in there, we'll have a couple of these. And then we can develop a little green space for our campus. Let's go ahead and just fill something in the grid. We'll bring this down here. Bring it back and around the back again. We could also partner. Do we have the gymnasium yet? Yes, we do. It's very expensive though, isn't it? 2,400 a week for the gymnasium. That is really expensive. And then the community pool. I think we'll go for the community pool instead. Okay. So we'll just develop this into a little high school campus, and then I definitely want this sort of cute little organic green belt that flows around Library Park to continue in the spaces over this side as well. So we'll hook it into what we think are sensible sort of walking points for the Sims to make use of. Let's bring them through here as well. And then down there. Alright, cool. And then it's just sort of bushes and live oaks and green trees through here, isn't it? So I definitely want to have that green space mirrored as people move across to this side of the park. But what a wonderful amount of fun, everyone, right? I hope you're all enjoying this kind of chill build. For those that are following along, it's been just a tremendous amount of... filled me with a tremendous amount of pride and warmth as I've read everyone's comments and ideas and how they've taken it differently in their builds. It's a really wholesome community, so thank you for being a part of it. It's just great. So thank you so much. I think with the trees on the roads, let's go ahead and turn them into something a little bit more exotic. Maybe a little eastern cottonwood might do well here. Okay. Wonderful. So we could actually pedestrianise this bit here as well, because I guess there's no reason why they would walk into that. Oh, well, no reason why they would drive down here, would they? So let's do that. Let's go ahead and replace it with a treed pedestrian road instead. And then we'll have that there. I don't want the assets on a service road, because then we're going to get... or on a pedestrian road, because then we'll need a service point, of course. But I am happy for a little bit of commercial to develop around here in certain places as well, if needed. Alright, cool. So that gives us a little high school campus, a little bit of purpose to it, right? It sort of sits there on its own now as part of Library Park. Much happier with that integration. Wonderful. Cool. So we're growing out now. Oh, I just love it. I just love looking at this city. I can't help it. What we got in here, is that a bookstore? Absolutely perfect. Great outside the high school. And you are a diner, I think. Is that like a little arcade, is it? Or food? It's a hairdresser's. And an ice cream shop. Neither. Neither what I thought it was. Cool. Oh my god. Oh yes. Hello. Hello people. Hello. Welcome into Orchid Bay, everyone. Great. Look at how many are choosing to walk as well. The power of pedestrian roads, everyone, right? Just how many people. Although it's weird that they're then stopping at this tram stop here. Like, are you stupid? You realise you just walked past a tram stop, don't you? Very weird. I wonder why they're choosing to walk to the next one to then catch the tram. That is an AI sort of fart, isn't it? Oh, it's so walkable though. We need to amend this while we're here as well. We definitely had some great comments on this. The fact that our skywalk is kind of blocking the view to the city hall. Totally agree. So I'm going to move these across by one tile. We will lose a little bit of wild hedge zoning, but nothing that can't be just redesigned. Then we want to grab our amusement park pathway. Let's snap into the grid on the lowest elevation. Cool. And then we just need to delete these two bits of hedging and that detailing. And we'll probably need to amend this during the detailing time lapse as well. But it massively opens up the view toward the city hall now, doesn't it? Without blocking it, but we still get the functionality of elevated pedestrian walkways. So thank you for all the suggestions on that. Really do appreciate it. Tremendous. Okay, but things are developing nicely here. So now let's turn our attention toward this waterfront because we want to do something here as well. So let's just remove all this. We're going to want to carry on accentuating that layer as well. We can see where it's not quite come through here. Then I'm also just going to pause it because I want to delete a little bit of this rail line here because you can see where we're going to bring this road under now. And again, this is going to give us some really nice waterfront opportunities down here. Do we have nightlife yet? We should do now, right? Yes, we do. We do have leisure. So we can definitely bring some nightlife in there as well today. So let's come on with our road. What are we using here? We might as well, again, just extend the cycle highway down because we've got so many roads now that are compatible with cycling. There's no real reason why we shouldn't use them. So we'll carry on with the decorative grass and cycle lanes. And then I want to make sure that we hit the road guideline of the rail. And then with everything else on, I now just want to help this main road meander along the riverfront for as long as it can. Let's make sure that we're not here. Again, if you can see we're prone to flooding here. I think we are, aren't we? We are. So let's just widen the base of the river, alright? Let's go ahead and make it a little bit wider so it's not all bottlenecking through here. It'll help it stop flooding a little bit too. That's what we want. Again, like, maybe I've gone a little bit short there. Sort of 1 or 2, 3 at the most contour lines will give you sort of sensible looking waterfronts. Cool. So let's keep this going up here, alright? Happy to have this here as well. There's more key action here as well if we wanted it. And then let's align this road with our one-way network. This is going to carry on at some point. Okay, and then it looks like we can maybe bring in a straight piece here, and then a curve tool with a road guideline snap should see us through. And then we can now start to piece together all these fantastic networks, okay? Let's go ahead and make sure that we have cleared the rail bridge, so then we can then reinstate this back over our current designs. Let's go ahead and come back across. Hopefully by 4 elevation points should do it. Okay, let's come off the road guideline. I really just want angle snapping here. Bring it as close to the road as we can get it. It looks like it might just want... That's going to be a little awkward there, is it? Yeah, it is. We definitely want to sort of redraw that curve. Do I mind losing the truss support? I don't think I really care, to be honest. I think I can live without it. Cool. And then it's just a case now we can either slope or soften this curve out. It's not going to make too much of a difference. Might be a little bit gradient. Might be a little bit harsh of a gradient, but the gradient police will come for us if needed. Okay, wonderful. Cool, so we'll soften all this out now, including the rail line embankment as well. We don't want this to be as obvious. Some really cool designs starting to develop now. Trains crossing over. Tremendously exciting, isn't it? It really is cool. Okay, wonderful. So let's go ahead now and grab a connection in for the one-way network to function. Again, we'll just do another setup like this. Let's just come in from here. Okay, and then again, let's now start to terraform against it, and then we can decide what's going to happen. So let's push all this layer right up against the road. Okay, and then we can maybe do a little slope here. The road sort of snapping will sort it out itself eventually. Okay, yeah, and then we can have another little connection into here for perhaps a little bit more suburbia that lies out this way. We do have some demands. We also, we're a huge fan. I need to get another graveyard down, don't I? I deleted it again. This is, goodness gracious, how long till we get crematoriums, another 4,000 population? We really need to get to that. Like, I'm sick of placing graveyards. They're the worst things. We'll have one out here for right now, okay? That's just not too bad there, does it? In the hills, a little cemetery. Not too bad. But yes, my original point is that we are happy with our rich hillside housing. Perhaps a few comments that said it went too high up the mountain. A little bit too close towards this nature trail here, but I don't think it's too bad. I don't think I'd mind it this high up. It's kind of like a little bit more secluded, isn't it? But yes, if we get residential demand, which we do have at the minute, we'll definitely carry on this theme around this side. I know we also had another great suggestion of perhaps having one side of the mountain as modern mid-century, and then the other side here as green cities, which we definitely will do, so I can mix and match luxurious housing. Great ideas for that. Thank you for suggesting, guys. I do appreciate it. Wonderful, but I think I'm definitely on board for painting out a little bit of nightlife along this waterfront. I don't want to develop kind of the full nightlife offering in today's episode because we're kind of focusing on the transport and infrastructure, but just so we can visualize what it is eventually going to look like, because we will definitely carry on the nightlife vibe all the way along this river because it's going to look over into the downtown eventually too. But I'll probably do that next episode, I imagine. But definitely just want to get it set up briefly so we can specialize this particular area to be leisure specialization. Tremendous. They will need water and power, etc. before we get out here. But otherwise, what I'd now like to turn my attention toward is this. So the tram line here. So again, let's have a look at our layers because I know that I want to do yet again some more layering with the terrain and the networks. It's going to lead to such a much more interesting design once it's all together. I'm into our terrain work, and again I want to find a height now where I can cross this tram pedestrian road over the rail. So I'm also looking to make like a little gully here for the rail. Our road can also extend out here as well today, extend a little bit more of the James Redwood suburb if we need some green cities suburbia around here. Okay, so it's coming to our tram pedestrian roads. Let's grab it ourselves, and we'll go for this one here. Okay, and then we'll come to road length as well. So I just want to carry on doing a little bit more terrain work. Let's maybe try it up at this height here. Okay, it's all about just finding the right heights. Of course, if you've got Move It or Anarchy, all this stuff becomes just tremendously easier. Alright, so let's bring this up again now. Let's go for that little... Let's bring it up so it's sort of sat on this little rampart, and then we'll curve it. Let's go for that 5 curve. Then we'll elevate by a single point. You're going to come across. There we go. That is absolutely tremendous. And then we can bring this back down to earth now. And we can plan out its course. Again, we could now begin to treat this tram line as an elevated tram line that flows right the way through this suburb. So it's really interesting just playing with all these new networks and little layers and so many cool designs that we can get in cities now. You see how we just let this now flow through the suburb and we can terraform it against it to accentuate that embankment. And by doing that, you're now going to create yourself an embanked public transport line that goes through the suburb that leads to just so many more design opportunities. We're also going to get more layering around here as well, where the trains and the tram are passing under each other. It's a vast amount of fun. Right, just a little bit of level terrain leads to just some really wonderful possibilities in vanilla cities these days. So let's now bring some road networkage into the build. I'll want to start extending this 4-way road here, this compact 4-way. Which, by the way, guys, is how much of a massive difference to the vanilla game are these new networks making. Just so much more fun to be had, right? Cool, yeah, so I want to keep this going here, and we can sort of see now where I want things to develop. So let's do some more terraforming. So I'd like this road here to converge eventually with these one-way networks as well, perhaps at another transport hub somewhere to lie in this area eventually. Feels like it's going to be a nice place. Okay, but then otherwise I think we'll move back into our content creator roads, and then I'm happy to have more green cities around this area. So I'm going to use the European 2-lane Stonebridge Road again because I want it to be the same decals as this one. I'm happy to have this green city suburbia to sort of keep transitioning over this way. And again, I'd like it to respect the sight lines down to the road here. So I'm going to draw this one across from this point, know that we snap into that node. Then by doing this, we can create some nice frames for our suburbia to sit against eventually. Okay, we can bring this up, find a connection for it. We can do the same thing over there now as well and bring it out a little bit more. Oh, there's where we have noise pollution here as well, of course. We can't just zone exactly where we want to here. Again, can we grab a little... Again, we should really plan in these bottom roads here as well, first of all, shouldn't we? Let's just remove more of that terraforming than we need. We'll take away some of this forest as well. And then we'll keep those two roads going for a considerable distance here. Let me know how you think we should actually take these roads into the downtown. Should we converge them into one sort of main bridge? Or should we keep them as two separate one-way networks? Because if anything, if we keep them as two separate networks, as we come into downtown, we can sort of snake them off and meander them through the downtown road network frame to keep that one-way network flow going. I don't think that would be the worst idea. Let's go with the curve road tool here. So we continue to match those 4 tile spaces. There we go. And bring this through. Probably need a roundabout here as well at some point, I imagine. Just to help distribute traffic. And then, oh, you can see what's going to happen again. Right, the tram's going to go across these roads into the downtown, and the roads are going to go underneath it and then swerve back around. It's going to be amazing. Absolutely love that. Cannot wait, everyone. Alright. Cool, but let's now start terraforming out this layer, because this is where we'll have our new, or not new, extended green cities district, just so we can get some more of that residential demand in. I might also, as well, during today's detailing time-lapse, move up to those hills again, so we can do some more hillside housing, just to bring that green bar down a little bit and keep growing Orchid Bay's population. Otherwise, I hope now you can see the sort of designs coming together here, right? So we've got this one here, we know we want to come out from this exact point. That's the same one, isn't it? Yes, it is. Let's just bring it along and then bring it up this way, and then we can break that connection there. This can come out, and then just by that way, you know, we're getting all this nice, secure, tight zoning now. And we can just bring in more frames around this way. Okay, perhaps a little connection up into this loop as well. We need to also create another turnaround here as well for the tram to terminate, because of course it doesn't go into downtown yet. But I'm happy with it, guys. It's a really fun, layered network episode, isn't it? So hopefully now we look at the start of the episode, and we see what a difference, how much more interesting this is, right, than just staying on the same level. Just a wonderful amount of fun. It really is. Really, really is. Just, I'll call this as well. All the people walking on the bridge back in two. I'm hoping we can get some zonings here today, and then we can start to see you know, some people using these roads and make this a little bit busier. But it does feel like a good point for a detailing time-lapse. I'm going to get some zonings in so we can start seeing population grow, and then just start detailing all these networks, get some overgrowth under this section of the bridge, maybe some rocks. And see if we can make this very brief stretch of seawall key walkable. It would be nice to have people walking on this layer as well. But I'm tremendously happy with just how many people are choosing to use the tram pedestrian way back over here, which is just fantastic, isn't it? Look at them all go. Although a fair few now looking at driving. It's interesting, wasn't it? If we had these as pedestrian roads, we don't get the pocket cars happening at all. They just don't come down. Interesting indeed. Or that could be because our tram line's broken. Could be one or two. But either way, we'll figure it out and fix it. Again, more detailing and layering and networks around here. Bring in another seawall key against this road so we can eventually plan for our major sort of nightlife waterfront build further down the river. And then zoning. Get some more residences in here. Continue to chisel out layers. And again, I might add some more hillside suburbia if the residential demand is there for it. I think it'd be quite nice. A really fun network episode, and lots of detailing to be done. So we'll be right back. Okay everyone, so welcome to the first walking pawn of Orchid Bay. This is such a busy intercity transfer point, goodness gracious. So many people walking around here, taking the greenbelt into the town. But this is where it lies, right? How cool is this? How cool is this, everyone? Oh, love seeing them walk on these elevated pedestrian ways. If not, some of them are perhaps harnessing powers beyond our realm to glitch beyond the gate, but at least they were using it, right? Really like it. Love seeing people walk around here. Either way, let's have a detailing review, shall we? So I guess we'll start from over here, right? So let's come over this way. So we've brought in a pathway that just links over the train line into the extended Green City suburb on the other side of the station. I did have to end up moving the residential of these roads onto the other side because they were just getting too much noise pollution. It was a little bit too close even with the trees. But then we come down here, right? We have a little pathway here, and then we cross over into our Green City suburb, which we're waiting to expand against the tile boundary now. We'll definitely pop this tile next here, and probably access to a little bit of the coastline maybe next time. But I can't imagine it'll be long before we do pop 81 tiles, just so we don't have to deal with annoying tile boundaries, especially when we come to building the downtown. But yes, then we just come down here. We have a little fence pattern to highlight our tram stop along the pedestrian road before we spill down into this extended Green City suburb against this 4-lane road, which is really cute. And of course this heads all the way back downhill onto that one-way system down towards the waterfront. So you know, a really cute sight line there, again, to respect. And I'm really happy with the sight lines that continue to develop around the city. There's a few really cool ones now. Yes, and then the Green City suburb just flows up to here. And then again, we're coming into tile boundary space now when we need to do some work with sort of, this is like downtown prep coming onto this island. So we'll sort of judge exactly what's going to happen here. I'm kind of envisioning for the downtown kind of like a medium density here against this river. Then we come to like the high density towers along this side. And then sort of like a low density suburb here. So we have that kind of gradient, if you like, between the three. I think that'll look quite nice eventually. Let me know what you think should happen with Orchid Bay's downtown space. But then we come back down here where we've waited for some repeated assets to come in with some high density stuff. And then just zoned up that nightlife now. So again, talking about the same things here. See how we've done this frontage network? Talked about this before, you know, over by our other one-way network with the trams. Just positioning the assets so they complement your main infrastructure really helps with the build, I think. So it's that same premise here. Just brought in another little frontage network that now hugs this main road, where we've brought in a little fence pattern and lots of trees between it. And all this nightlife zoning has turned out really nicely. I'm a huge fan of this, especially sort of like the flex gym here and all the variation and different size of assets that have come in. Again, I thought I'd try to go with some of the smaller zonings, and it's definitely paid off, right? I'm really happy with a little cafe here and like little Italian diner and coffee house. It's very thematic into the area, so super happy with what's spawned in. And then behind it all, we've got a little pathway with some trees and a little gazebo here and some benches. And a bird bath, although now I'm thinking of it, you can imagine sort of the person sat in the gazebo here is sort of surrounded by pounding dance music. So perhaps not the best location for a gazebo, but some nice part detailing nonetheless. Before we do emerge back onto that waterfront, which has now been keyed off with some patterns and pathways, so those walkable keys can kick in, although there is no one using them yet. And then yes, this just escapes off down here now. And we'll definitely come to build that sort of nightlife waterfront over here, get a unique plaza in there, and really have probably quite a few networks spanning in bridges through that district, because we're going to have the tram line coming in a bridge here. This 4-lane here needs to cross over to the island, and then something needs to happen with these one-way networks as well. So an interesting build to be had. I think we'll definitely tie it into our castle up here. There's definitely some sort of tourist attraction with like a nightlife district below. I think that'd be quite a fun build. Then back down the main road towards the rail. How great is this, right? Absolutely love the addition of that rail now passing over all our networks and streets. Also throwing in an extra water tower as well, because I did need the water capacity. And then, yeah, just fenced off with some oil fence around the embanked train line. I did end up straightening this out as well. I decided I couldn't do with the little sort of kink to the right. So I had to Straighten it out, which is fine. Goodness gracious me again, everyone. There we go, right? I remember saying at the start of the series that this tram line would be quiet for the time being, but would get increasingly busier. And that does appear to be the case now. There's definitely more people on this line than there was before. 85, only 60% car trips saved. It's already nearly 7 kilometers long as well. So we'll keep that going, but look at that. Goodness gracious. Yes, please, everyone. Yes, please. And can we also take some time as well to appreciate the aesthetic of elevated pedestrian tram roads for the first time with lots of functioning networks around them as well. Enormously happy with this little design here, and that key wall, really tasteful, right? Wonderful little addition into the network there, even though it's in the shade right now, you can't really see it, but yeah, from this perspective, right? Really cool. Really cool. There goes that tram as well. Oh, I could just watch it forever, everyone. I could just watch this forever. It's so good. And then there's a lot of fence linings here against this road to help correct the zonings, and then just some small outer line suburbia as we pass back onto the riverfront, which then spills back down this way, and then also brought in a little car park and some tree linings against our little school campus here. And lots of people cycling now too, right? Should we have a look at the cycle numbers? We'll just see how they're going as we continue to bring more cyclists in. Let's have a little look here. So let's put on our cyclist graph. Yes, there we go. Just continues to grow, doesn't it? 434 cyclists now. So hopefully that number will just continue growing. Just keep bringing in the bike infrastructure. You can see it sort of in action here now as well. This is very nice. People cycling up and down this hill. And you can definitely see now where we have more points to bring our cycle network together. Maybe we can upgrade this into a cycle lane at some point, and then have it connect through and into this cycle network, kind of exactly how this road does here, right? So we'll keep those themes and sort of ideas of road hierarchy and factoring cycling into it as well. Definitely as a theme as we continue to build. But otherwise, guys, that is going to do it for today, and let's thank you all so much for watching. Loads of ideas here with layering heights and using these new networks to really complement one another. Super happy with just how busy and flowy it is and so many people walking around. Really fun to be playing with so many different mechanics and networks in the vanilla game from the start these days. Tremendous amounts of fun, really enjoying this city. And I hope you guys are as well. Please keep all the engagement coming. I love reading the comments and the suggestions and the name ideas. And we'll definitely start working on some nightlife stuff probably next episode with a little plaza, and probably bring our first metro station into the city as well. But otherwise, please enjoy your cinematics, so we'll shut up and leave it there. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.